Godmorgen alle sammen. Good morning everybody. Are you ready for day one of the Nordic Guide and Scout Conference? We will start with a little morning session, a reflection, which is hosted by Siren, the Deputy Chairman of the YMCA, YWCA Scouts and Guides of Norway. Siren, vær så god.
God morgen alle sammen. Good morning everybody. I was the lucky one to share my story with you today to hold this morning session. Jeg var den heldige som fikk lov til å holde denne morgensamlingen og dele en historie med dere. Dagens tema når speider møter scout, så det skal jeg snakke litt om nå. Jeg kommer til å snakke på engelsk for å gjøre det lettest for flest mulig. So, today I'm taking you with me on a mind travel. So please, if you don't mind, close your eyes and clear your mind. Imagine you are a young scout, 14 or 15 years old, and you are at an airport traveling for your first national event alone. You feel excited, but also kind of anxious. Because what if all of the others already know each other? What if nobody will talk to you? And lastly, what if nobody will like you? The flights go nicely, but the butterflies are there still when you are at the baggage claim and a young girl approaches you and says, "Hi, I'm a scout. Can we hang out?" During the weekend, you meet scouts in your own age that is just as dedicated as you and are eager to get to know others. You get friends for life. So from being somewhat anxious for traveling alone and not knowing anyone, you are now again at the airport, sad for leaving your new friends. Now, you may wonder, why did we go for this mind travel and to that point in time? Just as our scouts, we as leaders may experience excitement and anxiety when we are traveling to conferences. And now, especially when we are meeting digitally, we may be more reserved on making contact and approaching others. Therefore, I want to encourage you all to be brave, make an effort. We are all here to connect and building networks, so make the most of it. Be open, take advantage of the experience, use GatherTown and the possibilities there. And least, but do have fun. Thank you.
Tusen takk, Siren. Thank you, Siren. Now we'll head to the practical information. And, sorry. Hvorfor får jeg ikke til å dele? Hvorfor får jeg ikke på full skjerm?
Det fordi at I skal starte, så det bare du.
Okay. Okay. Today's practical information. First, it's important that we get your sign-ups for the workshops. This is urgent. We will inform the workshop holders right after the break in this session, so we need everybody to sign up for the workshops. And please try to talk together in your
in your delegation. You could put your role, if you want to, in what's called text status, which you will find on the bottom of the page if you press your avatar. Ja, du kan ha rollen din som status hvis du går nederst på GatherTown og trykker på navnet ditt og legger inn tekststatus. Og så det også veldig fint nå som mange begynner å bli gode på GatherTown, at dere flinke å hjelpe hverandre. Se de som går rundt og ser ut som de ikke helt vet hva de skal, og spør om de trenger hjelp. Det vet jeg at speidere gode på. Okay. Since so many of you have understood GatherTown and are getting very good at it, please help each other, go up to each other and talk to each other, and if somebody does not understand it, please help them. Og det siste, følg med i chatten, der kommer det oppdateringer, og følg med på nettsidene våre, nsk21.scout.no, for informasjon. Yes. Please be aware of the chat, because we will give information in the chat, and also visit our page, which will be updated throughout the weekend. Noen spørsmål, Knut?
Posters.
Posters, ja. Vi har et rom med postere. Der det fortsatt plass til flere, så hvis noen land skulle ønske å legge inn nettsider eller videoer eller lignende, ta kontakt med oss på mail nsk21@scout.no. As some of you may have noticed, we have a room with posters where the different delegations or countries can give different information like videos or home pages. If you want to do this, you can contact our email nsk21@scout.no. Oh, one more thing. GatherTown åpent nesten hele tiden. Så hvis dere har tid, så stikk innom GatherTown, se om det noen å prate med der, bruk det så mye dere vil. Yes, one thing, GatherTown will be open throughout the weekend, almost all the time, so please stay inside GatherTown and discuss and meet people. Thank you.
Tusen takk. Thank you. Okay, just a few more things. Actually, just one more thing. There's a free evening tonight, so spend the time together with your delegation. Det frikveld I kveld, så bruk tiden sammen med delegasjonen og kos dere. Det nok å jobbe med I morgen. Hvis dere har spørsmål, så skal det alltid være oppdatert på nettsida nsk21.scout.no, eller still spørsmål på mail nsk21@scout.no. If you still have any questions, our webpage should be updated nsk21.scout.no or by email nsk21@scout.no. And then let me introduce the leader of this project, Håvard Otto, to tell you a little bit about the work in NSK the previous 3 years. Håvard.
Takk, Knut. Vi skal få på en presentasjon. Yes, I'm going to update about Nordisk Speiderkonferanse. I'll do an update from about Nordic Guidance Scout Committee. And what is the Nordisk Speiderkonferanse? Det altså 2 representanter fra hvert land, I tillegg til det norske sekretariat som består av meg, Bjarne og Knut. Og I tillegg har vi de nordiske representantene I Oslo med I Nordisk Speiderkomité. All informasjon om nordisk speiding prøver vi samlet på nettsiden speiderinoden.org. All information about Nordic guidance scouting we try to collect at an update on speiderinoden.org. But we know that we are sometimes lagging behind, so if you find something that is not updated, please mail us during the conference and Bjarne will do the best to update the page as best as possible. Når jeg snakker om nordisk speiding, så det enkelt å huske vår visjon som forklarer godt hva vi ønsker å oppnå. When I think about Nordic guiding scouting, I always try to remember the vision and the 3 pillars. Speider møter scout, forbund møter korps, scouting møter samfunn. Og det disse 3 I 2019 så startet vi en ny periode med en ambisiøs plan. In 2019 we started this triennium with an ambitious plan with a lot of different activities during the triennium. But something happened. So actually, what is the status? Most of our event has been firstly postponed and secondly cancelled. So unfortunately, there has not been that much Nordic activities or physical events in this triennium. And why couldn't we have so many events? Well, firstly, most of the events are planned in 2020 and 2021. And this is just a slide in Norwegian from the NSK meeting last September, which was virtual, of course. And how could we plan for the Nordic conference? And it's tough to plan for guiding and scouts events locally and even nationally during the pandemic, but it's even worse on a Nordic perspective. But who knows what will be Norwegian infection controls rules and regulations this May? What would be the travel advice or the travel regulations, or would there be any quarantining? We didn't know. And of course, when should the deadline be for registration? And when could we as hosts recommend you to buy tickets? And what if, in the worst case scenario, will there be any infections during a guidance scout event? That would make a lot of bad publicity. Den andre tingen vi skulle jobbe med spesielt i dette trienniumet her var finansiering av NSK. The second thing the NSK should be working on this triennium was the financing of the NSK Secretariat and yearly NSK meeting. The NSK Secretariat has been with the 3 volunteers, the limited staff support from our Norwegian associations. And all the meetings have been virtual for the planning. And for those of you who have been in the Nordic cooperation for some years, we have experienced a secure funding from the Nordisk Kulturkontrakt, which gave us almost yearly support. But the grants has been changed to a more project-based support, so that made it more difficult to gain yearly support for the NSK work. And this was the same with the Danish Secretariat. Derfor har vi foreslått en ny måte å sikre finansieringen for. this is up to the conferences to decide on later on tomorrow. But we have applied for grants during the whole triennium, but finally, next slide. Finally, after how many mails we received, this is a grant from the Nordic country point. We received a grant from Nordic country point to the Nordic Conference and to the upcoming and the follow-up meeting this autumn in September with a total of 25,000 euros. So finally we received some support, but we do need to have some secure funding for those times we don't get any support from the external funding. Next page, please. So I just want to say some last things about looking forward. Having some technical errors.
Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, andre forsøk. Second try. Please do send us a notice in the YouTube chat if you hear some sound and the presentation. So if we can get just a heads up in the YouTube chat, and hopefully we'll be back on track with the second presentation. I do hear some heard some presentations, and some did not, and some heard sound and not the presentation. I'll try to do the update from the secretariat once more, this with hopefully sound and picture. Okay, then I think we got some thumbs up here, so I'll try to start again. Jeg har fått noen tommel opp, så vi starter igjen. Jeg viste dere før bilder av Nordisk Speiderkomité. Nordisk Speiderkomité består av 2 medlemmer per land. I tillegg til et frivillig norsk sekretariat som består av meg, som heter Håvard. Jeg har med meg også Knut og Bjarne. En viktig del av Nordisk Speiderkomité er våre nordiske representanter i Vossum og Vegs. Vi har med oss Eline, Heidi, Julius, Martin og Pia. I tillegg til Jørgen fra European Scout Foundation. All informasjon om speiderne, om speidersamarbeidet finner på Speider i Norden. When I think about the Nordic Guide and Scout Cooperation, it's important to think about the 3 pillars of our vision. I think that also explains quite easy what we're doing. Vi snakker om speider møter scout, forbund møter korps, Skatun møter samfunn. De nordiske aktivitetene for 2019-2021 var ganske omfangsrike. We had a great plan for the Nordic activities in this triennium, but something happened. The pandemic. And actually, first our events was postponed, and secondly, unfortunately cancelled. And why were so many events cancelled? Well, the reasons are quite obvious. It's tough to plan for events in the local level, on the regional level, and on the national level. And it's even worse on a Nordic level. I'm showing you a slide from my presentation to the NSK meeting, in the virtual NSK meeting in September last year, about the Nordic conference. And the questions are quite obvious, but what would be the infection pandemic status in May 2021? What will be the regulations in Norway, and what about the other Nordic countries? And what about travel advice? And will there be any quarantining? We didn't know in September, but now we know, especially for Norway. And what to do with deadlines, when to order, when to book your plane tickets, and would there be any bad public relations regarding to if there will be in worst case infection at the Guide and Scout event. En viktig del av vårt arbeid har vært å utrede eller å sikre for en stabil økonomi for NSK-samarbeidet. Important job for us in the Secretariat has to be to find a model for a stable and sustainable financial plan for the running of the NSK. Because we have support, in previous years we have got grants from the Nordic Culture Point. Vi har fått støtte fra Nordisk kulturkontakt nesten årlig, men støtten der har vi skiftet til en prosjektstøtte, som gjør det vanskeligere å søke støtte om årlige arrangementer, spesielt NSK-møte og NSK-sekretariatet. Derfor foreslår vi en ny plan, et nytt forslag for finansiering til denne konferansen her. That's why we have to secure a funding when we don't get external funding. We are having a suggestion to secure the funding, and for us it's important to secure that we have 2 representatives from each Nordic countries. We also want to secure to have 2 persons from the NSK Secretariat on the meetings, and also to secure representation from the Nordic representatives of the Europe and World Committees of WAGS and WUSM. And the suggestion, the proposal has been distributed to you and will be discussed tomorrow and on Sunday. And we have 3 reasons for this our proposal. Vi har tre grunner til dette forslaget vårt. Vi trenger et forslag som reflekterer den store forskjellen i reisekostnader i Norden. Vi trenger et forslag som reflekterer den store forskjellen i størrelse på forbundene i Norden. Og vi trenger en praktisk løsning uten for mye administrasjon. And the last sentence on the proposal also says that the Secretariat should apply for funding to reduce cost, and the host countries should try to keep costs at a reasonable level. And this is for the NSK meetings. And we have done a lot of applying in the last 3 years, and we sent a lot of emails and a lot of documents that have been going back and forth. And also Denmark did that when they had the Secretariat the last time. But finally, after 3 years, we got some support from the Nordic Culture Point, and that was 25,000 euros for the Nordic Guidance Scout Conference, but also and the webinar we had beforehand, but also for a fiscal follow-up meeting coming up in September. Then that's going to be in Sweden. Så det mulig å få støtte til nordisk samarbeid, men vi vil sannsynligvis ikke få det hvert år. Til de nordiske arrangementene, to the Nordic events, assigned especially for those including young scouts, there's good possibility to secure external funding. And finally, we have to look forward. We believe that the Nordic cooperation is still relevant. There's only great opportunities for projects and events between the Nordics. And now we should prepare Nordic guiding and scouting after the pandemic. We should not wait until it's finally over. We should be eager to try to make it as good as possible when the pandemic will be over. And is there some lessons learned in this triennium? Yes, it is. We believe that digital solutions can improve and expand our collaboration, but we do need to have our meetings within the Nordics physically, but we can add on digital solutions. And a reminder to all of us, when we work on a Nordic level, it's important to have the information regarding events well in advance. So thank you. That was a short update. Later, during lunchtime, we'll spread out a report from all the where we collected the membership status and some essential information about all the Nordic associations in a joint report. I will spread that out during lunchtime to all of you on the webpage and on email. Vi deler en statusrapport om nordisk speiding med informasjon om alle nordiske forbund, med kontaktinformasjon og medlemsutvikling og mye mer i løpet av dagen omkring lunsj, både til alle på e-post og på vår nettside. Takk for meg.
Takk, Håvard. Thank you, Håvard. And sorry about the technical issues we had. The practical information will be given just in advance of the break. We'll repeat that since we think that you didn't get much out of it. Den praktiske informasjonen kommer til å bli gjentatt rett før pausen, siden dere sannsynligvis ikke fikk så mye ut av det. Det er en viktig ting av den tekniske informasjonen jeg vil ta nå, og det er meld dere på workshops. Please sign up for workshops. We need this information to send to the workshop holders. so that they have an idea of how many will be participating. Vi trenger å sende informasjon til workshop-holderne om hvor mange de kan forvente at vil melde seg på. Så registrer dere for workshops mens dere følger med nå, og etter pausen så vil vi sende denne informasjonen. Da går vi videre til presentasjoner fra alle land. I går startet vi i vest, I dag starter vi I øst. We'll now move on to the presentations from each country. We started in the west yesterday, so we'll start in east today. So Finland, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Finland. Please start your presentation and share with us.
Excellent. Warm welcome from my part from Finland. Next, we have some 15 minutes time for me to give you a brief report from our country. Where are we at? What are the most important issues we are discussing and tackling at the moment? And finally, some notions on the ways the corona pandemic has influenced scouting in Finland. Our national board started its work now in January. We all begin the term at the same time for 2 years. So now this was a big change in the organization. So we got a good head start, even though the situation could have been a bit different or a bit better if we could have had not the pandemic with us. But our biggest task for the board is to get started with our new strategy. So our general meeting decided upon a new strategy for the Scouts and Guides of Finland for the next 5 years or 6 years. And this is the first year of it. And in the center of the whole strategy is to give every child and every young people tools and will to change the world for the better. So this is the main goal to create such program, create such activities, create a movement that will give all young people the possibility to change the world. And we have divided this strategy into 3 topics or three themes that we are concentrated on. The first one is that the membership amount of members, the amount of people we reach within the scouting activities will grow. That means that we will have more young people as members and also participating in the events and in the program we do. Especially, we would want more young people and of course also adults that don't have all their roots from in Finland. We'd like each and every scout group to reflect the local diversity in the area, and this is something we are especially tackling during these 6 years. Also, well, the pandemic has given us a head start with this one, but the aim is to find also new ways to be a scout and participate in the scout movement compared to the traditional being a member and having the weekly meetings with your troop. And this is something we have already last year started and this year started doing all over the country, but we would like to raise the question of how we can make it official also, that it doesn't have to be so typical and traditional. Then the second part of this strategy is to make sure that the program we do actually gives tools and gives skills for life. We're looking at our Scout program, how it actually, what kind of skills it builds. Are those the kinds of skills a person needs in the 2040s, where the young scouts will be adults then, and the aim is to give them the right skills to make a change and make a difference. So we are reflecting our own kind of ways of doing, like, are we giving the right skills for our scouts at the moment and in the future. Also, another important part is to enable the young people to actively make a difference in their local communities, and then also give this kind of environmental hope, or how would you say? There is a lot of climate anxiety among young people, and we want scouting to be the place where you can actually make a difference and learn the ways to create a better world also in terms of the climate. And then the final part of our strategy is to make sure that this all is done so that our volunteers have a good time, and they are motivated and also are willing to continue with the movement. So taking care of the volunteers is the third part, which is something we haven't been discussing in the past so much. That what do we actually mean when we all want to take care of our volunteers, but what is that in what is well-being as a volunteer actually? What does it mean? These three parts, what is the change we are doing with these topics during the 6 years, is the task our board has at the moment. So we are building and have been building a kind of leadership structure to coordinate the means that we do among these three topics. And then we have also developed a measurement kind of panel, this kind of key performance indicators, you could actually say, that how we can actually know that we are going to the right direction, and that we met the goals we have set. And that is something we are also, we've developed the first version, and we are now building it in practice. Another big thing that the general meeting decided last spring was the new Scout promise for the Scouts and Guides of Finland. Here you can see it in Finnish, Swedish, and English. What is special about this promise is that in the previous one we mentioned God. Now we only mentioned that the Scout will develop in their spiritual beliefs and worldview. And this decision to renew the Scout promise was done unanimously. So we all agreed in the general meeting that this is the right way to go, and this is the promise we want to give, and this is the way to go forward. And now this has been in use for half a year already, and there hasn't been any big discussions afterwards, even though there were concerns whether it would be something to because the church in Finland is a big partner for us, whether there would be some challenges with them. But actually the process of renewing the Scout promise has been done in very close collaboration with them, and it's been an excellent project for us. We are still in very close collaboration. Yet another big decision made in the general meeting last year was to set the target of being carbon neutral as a as an organization until 2030. And now the work is going forward. We have a special group who is organizing and coordinating the actions that how we will reach it, our big events. I will briefly tell you about Kajo and LED Campfire Summit. That's the name of Johtajat in English, yes. Later, these are big ways to get the climate impact of our organization lower. But then another important part is our badge for the local troops, how kind of like a certificate, how they can take these issues into account. And already this has been taken launch in, if I remember correctly, in January, and already we have some 20 local troops that are certified with this badge. Also, we've formed a partnership with UPM, a big Finnish wood industry company, and we are together with them creating this kind of a campaign of building, creating and collecting climate actions, and which we will make as a backpack to be brought for our Prime Minister Sanna Marin in the fall. This is something we are really excited about. Some events that are coming up, even though, well, next I will tell you about the implications of the corona. Most of our big events have been cancelled from this summer, but not our big leadership event in the end of August, which we are waiting eagerly to be held. We already have some 2,500 early bird participants. The registration is still open, and the topics for the event are sustainable development, and then empathy and well-being. So a lot of interesting workshops, speeches, and this is all held in the forest. You can see this picture actually behind me is from the last event held 2 years ago, and we are expecting some 3,500 participants there, but taking care of the safety of the participants. Another thing that I wanted to tell you about a bit is the Compass app. We've launched an application for our scouts to mark to track how their program is going forward. You can see it when you go to kompassi.partio.fi. You can see it from there, and you can find the app also in Swedish and English if you want to browse it through. This is something we're really excited about. It's been the development has been under construction for some years, so now it's finally in use. And then next summer we will gather together to the next Finnish Jamboree, Finjambore Kajo, where you are all warmly welcomed. We're also expecting international participants, of course. Let's see how the target level of the international participants. Let's see how high we can put it due to the pandemic. But yeah, that's something we are really much looking forward to, and building the camp, and you are warmly welcome. Finally, before I have to stop my presentation, as I mentioned, on Sunday there was this another webinar on these corona implications in different countries. So I won't go through all of these things, but mainly last year when the pandemic hit, we stopped the face-to-face scouting for some months totally. We went to distance meetings and cancelled all the big events. And now during the last year, we've had some events, as you can see, this one with strict safety measures held always following the local authorities' guidelines, but then mainly when the areas have been in worse situations, there have been program done through different virtual programs. We've taken seppo.io named program and kind of platform into use. You can Google it. It's very perhaps you've heard of ActionBound. I'm not sure, but it's an app where you can put your own different kind of games inside and use it as a platform to do Scout program. Also, we've been using Microsoft Teams in the entire organization, also in the troop level, and found a lot of new ways to do scouting. This hasn't affected in our how many scouts we are in Finland. Actually, the intake has been quite at the same level as in normal times, which is great, because in many sports and other youth activities and organizations in Finland, this has been a very difficult times in terms of participants and the members. But for us in Finland, things are looking quite good. We've been flexible, and we've been able to provide program even though the everyday life has been in quite a different situation compared to normal days. Now we're looking forward to the fall and making sure that we will get all the young people who've been doing remote school and remote scouting back to the campfire. So that is something we are now concentrated on. This was all from my part. I'm not sure if we have time for questions, but you can search me or any of us Finns from the Gather town and ask some questions later if there aren't any questions at this moment. But I can stop my sharing, and then I'll give the ball back to Norway, or how does this work?
Thank you very much. That was really interesting. And about the questions, it would be great if people contact you in GatherTown. That's a good way of using GatherTown. And if there would be any time on the end of this session, maybe we'll open for questions. Tusen takk, Finland. Det var veldig interessant. Og når det gjelder spørsmål, finn Finland i GatherTown. Og dersom det er tid helt på slutten av denne økten, så kan vi vurdere å åpne for litt spørsmål. Men litt tekniske problem gjorde at det kan bli vanskelig. Okay. Thank you everybody who has been calling us and sending text messages. And I hope you didn't put anything in the mailbox, because we have fixed the problems now, so that won't be any use when it gets here. Takk til alle som har gitt beskjed om problemene. Vi håper at alt virker bra nå. Vi har fått telefoner, sms'er, messengermeldinger og kanskje brevpost, vet ikke. Vi fortsetter sendingen og håper alt fortsetter bra. Og tar turen over Østersjøen og til Sverige og Anna-Karin Hennig. Vær så god, Sverige.
God morgon allihopa. Härligt att vara här. Jag heter Anna-Karin Hennig och är generalsekreterare för Scouterna i Sverige. I'm going to talk in English, and you will be able to see the presentation written in Swedish, so I hope that will work out for everyone. I'm going to give you a short update on what's top of our minds in Sweden right now. I'm not going to talk very much about the pandemic. There was a webinar this Sunday, and if you're interested in what we have done to adaptation and what our keepers and findings are in Sweden, just pop in there. We have actually had the largest membership increase for many years in 2020. This is really great and wonderful news. So we had more than 3,000 scouts joining us last year. Not only kids and youngsters, but also adults and leaders, actually. We work quite hard according to the growth concept. It's probably familiar to quite many of you. And why this increase in 2020 in the year of pandemic? There's been, of course, an increased interest in outdoor life and activities, which really sits well with what we are doing. We have also in Sweden been able to keep up our activities. Most of our local troops has been having meetings and going on with adaptation and in different ways. But still, we have been able to have guiding and scouting. Many other activities did close down in Sweden, but we did not. Also in this very special times, I personally think the need for togetherness, for belonging to a community, the need for a safe place where you can laugh and cry with your friends has really been large for our young kids and adolescents as well. So we actually see quite a lot of new scouts and guides joining us because they just tag along with their friends. Also when they are older, when you come up to 14, 15, 16. And this is, of course, something that we're really, really happy about. Now, how are we doing? We're a bit tired, to be quite honest with you. We're a bit fed up with outdoor activities. It's better now in the spring. We're a bit fed up with changing adaptations all the time. And also our scout troops had some difficulties when it comes to money, because all the ways that they usually gather money in fairs and so on has not been able to go on. So what you see here is the poll from our district leaders. We meet them twice a year. They were, as you see, in October 2020, quite strong. Business as usual with adaptations, but a bit rougher. Then you see the upper one in March. It's still business as usual, not as much, and we're a bit tired. So the main challenge on the local level has been to keep going on, and also keep going without the really, really fun things, the big gatherings, the possibility to get together adult leaders. So you have to keep going on the fumes, so to speak. Our biggest challenge on a national level has, of course, been communication and trying to fill the local troops and our wonderful, wonderful leaders with as much energy and spirit as possible. So when it comes to communication, we actually have new websites in Sweden. It's not a big news, but the big news for us is actually that the primary target group of our websites is not our members, not our leaders. It's the external group of people, the persons that are not yet a guide, a scout, or a scout leader, or the person who has not yet decided to do some fundraising or to contribute to guiding and scouting in some way. You find this in Gathertown, so just pop in and have a look around and you'll find someone from the Swedish delegation to talk about it. We're very, very happy about it. We also did a poll last year, 2020, which we call Lägereldsrapporten, which is a gathering around the campfire. It's a public poll, and we talk to young Swedes from the age of 8 up to 25 to find out what are the most important questions for them, what's on their mind, and what shall we do to solve problems, questions, and what call of action should we as a movement call up to our politicians. And as many as 90% of the 2 million kids and youngsters in Sweden thinks that the politicians do not listen to them. And almost 1 million of them do not know how to impact society in a positive direction. So up on our mind is democracy, quite a lot. Democracy is also 100 years in Sweden, 2021. So we are part of the celebrations. We are been writing some articles and been part of a campaign. Our biggest project, however, is for the age group 8 to 10. This is called Världsförbättrarprojektet. We're actually having a material and methods for this young age group to become world improvers and to have an impact in the local society. And we now have more projects like this in the pipeline. We are looking for fundings and hope to be able to do a project in the age group 12 to 15 next. Physical and mental health is, of course, also on top of our minds, not only because of the pandemic. It's been a long-term development, unfortunately. And every one of us in the Scout and Guide movement, we know that togetherness makes us feel better, to belong, to have a sense of meaningfulness, and to be able to impact and influence your life. That is really what makes one feel good about oneself and the world. So we work still quite a lot with Free Being Me and Action on Body Confidence, programs from WAGS. We also have a new project, which we call Listening Ears. The term is probably familiar from quite a lot of you from big jamborees. So we have a 3-year project where we're going to educate our leaders even more, and listening ears will be a compulsory part in all our national big events, jamborees, continuance to jamborees, and so on. We also taken a few steps more when it comes to Safe from Harm. Safe from Harm, the education is the only compulsory training that you have to do as a Scout leader in Sweden. From this November, we also have a compulsory rule that everyone who is in contact with young Scouts have to show a police record extract to be able to take part in the activities. And we now also have the system to support this in our membership system. Sustainability. I'm going to talk to Finland. There's a lot of great ideas there. Sustainability is the most important question for our young kids when we do polls. Up till March this year, then actually healthcare was number one, but probably sustainability will come back. And it's not only about the climate, it's about ourselves as well. Sustainable volunteering, for example. We have a project about that. We have a lot of activities in our open bank on the web, where we also share with other organizations and schools and so on. And we have a project where we focus on the SDG number 12, which is called Make a Difference. We also have a jamboree. It's going to be wonderful jamboree summer 2022. And the theme on our jamboree is to dream about a sustainable world. And this is sustainability when it comes to products and to climate, but also when it comes to people and persons and ourselves. So when you're done in Finland, come and join us in Sweden. And I think there's opportunity to go on a jamboree in Norway as well this coming summer, and a lot of international events as well. I think I actually stopped there. I think we're running a little bit short of time today. So feel free to find me or anyone else in Gaddetown, and let's start a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweden. Takk, Sverige. Nå vi ikke lenger bak skjema, så da vi egentlig klare til å kjøre videre. Men vi holder farten oppe, tar turen over grenser til Norge. We'll just skip from Sweden to Norway and listen to what's happening here. Thank you. And Håvard and Tor Andreas, vær så god.
Thank you, Knut. And hello, everyone. We're now going to talk about how we have done in Norway for the last 3 years, since the last Nordic conference. We have had some strategic priorities in the main focus areas, which I'm going to sum up. And we want to make a difference for others and the environment, both as our scouts and guides will make a difference to other guides and scouts, and we want to make a difference for the society around us. And of course, we also have to take care of the nature surrounding us and the entire environment. We want to be visible as organizations, both locally, in the region, and all national, and of course on the international level. It's important for us to promote diversity and inclusion, and everyone should have the opportunity to be themselves and feel like home when they took part in the Guides and Scouts movement. There is a room for every person, and we want it to be like that. We want every guide and scout to grow individually as persons, and we want to grow as organizations. We want to reach new members, new areas, and we want to keep every member we already have. And of course, we want to recruit and develop good leaders and take care of our volunteers. They are the goal of our organizations. Here you can see an overview of the membership development since 2008 in Norway. You can see there is a slightly decreasing curve. And of course, there is a question mark. How has the COVID pandemic affected us? But both the Norwegian Guide and Scout Association and the YWCA, YMCA Guides and Scouts in Norway have the last couple of years worked really hard and put this on our maps so that we can turn this slightly decreasing membership curve to an upward curve. And we in the YWCA, YMCA Scouts and Guides of Norway, we have a strategy period now for 2020 to 25, which have the theme, there is a place for everyone around our bonfires. Rundt våre leirbål det plass til alle. This is very important for us and is the way we want to work for the next years to turn the membership profile in an upward direction. And Håvard is going to tell us about how the Norwegian Guide and Scout Association are working to achieve this as well.
Ja, vi prøver oss på litt sånn delt, noen er her på Hamar, og Tor Andreas er i Tønsberg. Vi deler litt på å prate igjennom. I Norges Speiderforbund så har vi brukt de 2 siste årene på å rigge et gruppe- og kretsutviklingsstøtteprogram, sånn at vi har nå akkurat begynt å, som vi sier, rulle det ut I linja. We have this recruitment support program just started. We used the last 2 years to put it in order, and we just from this year rolled out the recruitment support program for groups and regions, and I think we're quite positive and optimistic about this membership development. And also, I think in Norway, as in probably the rest of the countries in the Nordic, the focus on nature and the use of nature is quite big now after the pandemic, and we're going to use that as well as the focus period of recruitment. And both the associations in Norway have quite a heavy focus on growth now and for the future.
So then we're turning to how has COVID-19 affected guiding and scouting in Norway. On March 12th, 2020, Norway locked down, and there were small possibilities of meeting for anyone. Schools were down, people were working at home, and of course also our guides and scouts couldn't meet. But they started early exploring activities in the digital way, like Minecraft meetings and digital bonfires and so on. And there has been a lot of ideas on how to take scouting and guiding activities into the digital world. And when we came to May and June, there was a possibility to meet, and we saw an effect that there's more scouts and guides that have experienced outdoor meetings than ever before, and we feel that is a good thing which has come out of the COVID-19 pandemic. There has been a common strategy that we have promoted most possible activity as possible within the rules and regulations which have been in the local areas. There's been different regulations in different parts of Norway, so the different groups have had different opportunities. Someone have had their work almost like normal, and someone have unfortunately not at all been able to have regular meetings. But fortunately, the COVID period has not affected the economy in a negative way. So we can use that as a tool in a post-COVID expansion for the Norwegian Guide and Scout movement. Our members are not easily scared away. They continue with their activities, and that's a good thing. Digital activities can connect people from all over the country, and as we see in the Nordic countries and all over the world, and that is a positive effect which can last for also the post-COVID period. But digital meetings, they aren't that efficient in a long time, and maybe there's a problem about the motivation. And also when everything else like school and other meetings also are digital, you can be tired of all and just want to get out into the nature and meet people again. There has also been changes and unpredictability with the rules and regulations in Norway, and that we all have experienced is quite exhausting when you can't plan and you can't do as you planned because the rules have changed. But scouts are amazing and enduring people, and our scout leaders are our heroes and the gold of our organization. And now, Håvard, I'm going to put over to you, and he's going to tell us how the Norwegian Guide and Scout Association have taken on a challenge that COVID-19 has given them regarding their national camp.
Yes, thank you. This year is in Norway is our year of the National Jamboree, and unfortunately that's quite hard to do as we normally do with gathering the whole country, all the scouts of Norway, and guests from our Nordic friends and the rest of the world on one field somewhere in Norway. That's quite impossible. So we've been working quite hard to find out how we will do this, because last year was as difficult as this year. No, it was more difficult because we weren't able to do almost any camps. So it's very important for us as an organization to actually do this national jamboree. So our team of very, very optimistic camp staff, they just turned it around, and they said, hey, how can we make this camp a national jamboree anyway? Are you jumping one ahead, or is it okay? There's the map. They said we're gonna have the world's biggest national camp. Instead of canceling it, we'll just make it the biggest ever. So we're actually going to have this national jamboree with 120 subcamps. That's quite big for us. Normally it's like 5 subcamps, but we said we're going to have the largest camp in area, because we're going to use the whole country, and it's going to be the longest national jamboree ever, because we're going to use all the weeks of the summer. And the groups, they make their own group part of the national jamboree, or some regions do, or some groups together. And now we're around 7,500 participants, and that's around the same as we normally do in national jamborees in our association, and that's quite good, and we're very optimistic. We're going to have lots of small camps, and we're going to do common digital opening and the closing ceremony, and we're going to do lots of different the same program on different places, and the sub camps will be quite small because the pandemic needs us to be quite small, and very likely it's going to be possible to complete. We're quite optimistic, but we'll see when we come to September and meet you at the NSK meeting. We'll tell you how it went out. An important part of making this total feeling of being collected at the same camp is the next page here. We have, of course, lots of merch and branding. So we're going to have all these small camps in Norway this year with the same branding, same badges, same merch. We're going to make program activities, suggestions for all of the camps, and food menus, and lots of tools and support. And we're going to have this support team working all summer through to support them. And it's going to be lots of small group camps, and we also put on some extra rover camps for collecting rovers over the whole country for an extra camp, because we're going to need the rovers to do the small sub camps in the groups, but we're also going to make some extra rover camps for just rovers. Yes, we have some other upcoming large events as well in Norway, and hopefully we'll be able to go through with it. We're going to have the national competition, the national we say Norgesmesterskap i speiding, national competition in scouting. We had to do the same, change from one big gathering to local and regional arrangements. It's going to be this June, and we also have a lot of new focus and extra focus on rover activities. We have this rover pentathlon in Trondheim in September. It's a joint arrangement for the first time between both associations, and also we have this rover gathering, a weekend of fun and activities in Stavanger area in November, and hopefully the pandemics will be more or less giving us abilities to actually do these things. And Tor Andreas, your association is also doing some rover activities, right?
Yes, we have this summer a rover jamboree. Hopefully it will take part in July, and several hundred rover scouts have want to meet and do proper rover scouting in the southwestern part of Norway. And also for this fall, we're having an Explorer Scout Festival. It's for our patrol leaders, and there is a theme with emergency preparedness and safety. And we hopefully this will be the best arrangement for our patrol leaders, and they really want to come there. And also we're looking ahead into the future. In 2022, the YMCA Guides and Scouts in Norway have our national jamboree in July 2022, also in the Stavanger area, and it's called Gnist 2022, and it means spark, and it's coming from our strategy about there is a place for everyone around our bonfires, and we want this jamboree to be as big as possible and as good as ever when we finally gonna meet in 2022. So that's all from us.
Tusen takk, Norge. Thank you, Norway. We're still on schedule approximately, so we'll just head quite soon to Denmark. Pia, vær så god.
Tak skal du have. Jeg har taget Jakob med fra Dansk Baptist Spejderkorps, og vi vil fortælle jer lidt om, hvad der foregår i Danmark. And we'll do the presentation in English so that everyone can follow along. So over the last couple of years, the 5 Scout and Guide associations in Denmark have collaborated quite a bit. So we'll try to do a joint report. What we found to be common ground between the different associations is that we all want a strong community and want to reach out beyond our own movement so that even more young people and children can become strong and learn through the guiding and scouting method and values. So our common mission is that guides and scouts prepare young children and young adults for life through community, outdoor activities, and challenges. This is quite a strong platform in Denmark, and we're quite happy that we've gained a lot of traction throughout the last couple of years with a lot of different partnerships, and both locally and nationally, a lot of municipalities and government officials, as well as other organizations, have found us to be interesting partners for various projects. We're working overall with 3 different areas. The first one is to create initiatives that, as we mentioned before, prepare young children and young adults for life. The second one is to ensure a clear and strong organization for development and organizational leadership and common activities and storyline. We found that in Denmark, even though we ourselves think there are many differences between our 5 different associations, non-scouts and guides don't see it the same way. So a common storyline and a common image strengthens our ability to get our story out and creating partnerships. We also want to ensure that these stories and our messages are at the core of the activities that we do both now and in future. So these are the 3 legs of all of our initiatives. And now Jakob will tell you a little bit more about the concrete initiatives that we've had going for us over the past couple of years.
Yeah, hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. As some of you might remember from last time we met in the northern part of Sjælland in Denmark, we went to visit the youth island Ungdomsøen. And at that point, it was just about a year from being finished, or not finished, but at least have the opening date. While we were at the conference in Croatia in 2018, they actually held the opening ceremony. So it's up and running, and it's quite incredible actually. So even though we started this project together a long way back, we've actually more or less handed the project over to a more, how you say, like a decentralized thing, at least from scouting. So we're working with a lot of different partners. I think the last number I heard was about 150 other partners on this project, and they have a whole team running this island together now. But it's still based on the core of scouting. So the vision for the island now is to be a platform for the most important movements for the next generations to come. And the whole process of developing this island has been it's been driven by young people, for young people. And one of the things that I'm actually quite proud of with this project is they made like 5 dogmas for the island. I'm just going to mention them because I think they're super cool. So they, like, more than 700 young people participated in creating these guidelines or these dogmas for the island. And the first one is doing above learning. So the idea is that just doing something has value in itself, so it doesn't always have to have a purpose to be meaningful. And I think that's quite strong. And then the second one is a youth for youth, or young for young. which just refers to real influence. It's an island for young people, created by young people. And then the third one is disruption, I think I would translate it into. So it's supposed to be a space where you can challenge the existing thoughts of patterns or how you would normally do things in society as well. And then the fourth one is, I don't know, like real open. So it's not just something that we say that it's an open space for everybody. It really has to be an open space. And the fifth one is island land, I think. So it's just, the youth island is not just a game. It's a gathering point, not only on the island, but also all around the country. And I think that's quite cool. So, but since we've launched this platform for young people, actually we've had 258 volunteers from 22 cities in Denmark. There's 19 groups of volunteers, and there's currently 44 partners on the project. They've done 166 activities by volunteers and 240 activities by other organizations and companies. So they have just over 31,000 visitors with almost 6,000 sleepovers, and that's even within a year of the pandemic. So that's pretty cool. It's running great, and there's a lot of support, a lot of funding going on for this as well. So we're just excited. It's going to be even cooler than it is right now in a few years. Yeah. And we know that both Norway and Finland and Sweden and everyone else is having a national jamboree next year as well. But of course, as probably all of you know, we're going to have the Danish national jamboree as well. So we just did some calculation, me and Pia, and we thought, all right, maybe we'll start with going to Norway, and then we're going to Finland, and then Denmark, and then we could go to Sweden. So it's going to be a great year of Nordic jamborees as well. But it's going to be at the end of July. This time it will be just outside the capital region in Denmark, so it's going to be easy to get to by train as well. So that's exciting. We're just in the final race of preparation, and it's going to be awesome. We're looking forward to gathering 40,000 people next year. That's going to be incredible. Yeah. And
that was all we had for you today, but find some on gather.
Tusen takk, Danmark. Det begynte å hakke litt helt på slutten. Jeg håper det ikke er nye tekniske problemer. Thank you, Denmark. There was a little bit of technicality in the very end after the presentation, but I hope that was only here. We'll now repeat a little bit of the technical information. Maybe we should start with GatherTown.
Vi skal snakke også, ja. Ja. Hvis du vil starte på engelsk, Marte.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming to GatherTown. We had a lot of experiences yesterday because we were the most we've ever been in GatherTown, and we have some feedback for you.
Takk for at det var så mange som har vært inne og brukt og prøvd GatherTown. Vi lærte mye ved å være så mange, og nå har vi litt tips og triks og praktisk informasjon som kan være lurt å ha nå fremover.
Yes, so first of all, we want to remind you that everybody should have their name and their country in their avatar's name. Try to avoid putting your role into the avatar's name. You could put that as a text status, which you can find if you press your avatar at the bottom of your page on GatherTown.
Når det kommer til navn, så det fint om dere skriver navnet deres, og så land. Ikke skriv rollen deres i navnet. Det kan dere gjøre i et sånt tekstfelt som dere finner nederst på skjermen. Trykk på navnet deres, og så det et sånt felt dere kan fylle ut. Det det flere som har begynt å bruke også.
Also, we want you to help each other because it seems like most of you are getting GatherTown very well now. So if you see somebody who are kind of confused or if somebody's wondering about anything, please help us help them. Thank you.
Nå det mange som begynner å bli veldig gode på å bruke GatherTown, og da det veldig fint hvis dere som får det godt til, går rundt og hjelper andre og får andre til å også få det til å fungere.
Yes, and last but not least, as some of you may have noticed, we have a room with posters that connect you to like web pages or videos, and some of the spots are free. So if you want to get a spot to show a web page or a arrangement or an event you're having, please contact the project group on nsk21@scout.no.
Vi har også et rom med postere som vi har plass til flere i. Så hvis dere ønsker å legge inn informasjon, enten om en nettside, en video eller et eller annet, så sender dere en mail til nsk21@scout.no. Og så var det også det med å gå rundt i GatherTown.
Yeah.
Fordi at nå som vi så mange, så har vi sett at det kan bli litt bråkete for noen. Noen tips der at du kan velge quiet mode. Ved å trykke på navnet ditt, så finner du det i menyen. Eller du kan 2, dobbelttrykke på en person for å snakke privat med den. Eller så kan du trykke på G for ghost, og da vil du bli muta, og bildet blir borte, men du kan bevege deg uten å høre andre.
Yes. Since we were so many yesterday, we noticed that it might be difficult to move around, and the sound might become very loud because there's so many people. So we have 3 tips for you. 1, you could, by moving around freely, you can press G, and then you will move around as a ghost. You could also go into quiet mode, which you do by pressing your avatar at the bottom of the page, and then you can press quiet mode. Then you will only hear the people who are immediately around you. Or 3, you can double click on the person you want to talk to, and then you will only be talking to them.
Og så har dere vært veldig flinke til å bruke chatten, så det vet jeg at dere har funnet. Vi fikk kjapt tilbakemeldinger i stedet når ting ikke var helt på plass. Så vi kommer til å gi dere beskjed i chatten, og dere kan gjerne gi oss beskjed, eller snakke med hverandre der. Så ses vi vel inne på GatherTown innimellom.
Yes. You've also been very good at using the chat, which we're very happy about. We will be using that to give messages to everybody in Gather, and we also want you to use it as you did during the technical difficulties we had earlier. So thank you for that. If you have any questions, you can just contact the project group either in Gather, at the help desk, or by mail. Yes, thank you.
Tusen takk, Oda og Marte. Ok, vi nærmer oss en pause. Jeg vil bare minne om bruk pausen til å bli med på workshops. Please sign up for the workshops during this break. After the break, we will send it to the people presenting in the workshops, so they will have an idea of how many will participate. And please talk within the delegation and try to spread out over all the workshops. Ok, vi bruker pausen til å signe opp for workshops. Etter pausen så kommer vi til å sende informasjon til alle som skal holde workshops, sånn at de har en idé om hvor mange de blir. Og vær så snill, snakk sammen i delegasjonen og prøv å spre dere ut over alle workshops. Det veldig mye bra workshops, og vi vil at alle skal få deltakelse. Da tror jeg at vi går til pause, og det nesten på tiden. I think we go to a break when we're almost on time. See you in 15 minutes.
have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet. Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet.
Velkommen tilbake. Jeg håper alle har fått fylt kaffekoppene og spist vafler med brunost. Jeg var en tur I Gathertown, og jeg så at I hvert fall Julius spiste vafler, men det sto ikke om han hadde brunost. Welcome back. I hope everyone enjoyed the break, that you had some coffee, ate some waffle with brown cheese. I saw Julius in Gathertown. He was eating waffles at least. But now we'll continue on our trip around the Nordic countries. Next up, Faroe Islands. Sigurd, are you ready?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Oh, hva var det? Ja da. Dette er ikke det. Så kan du.
You are in the meeting, you does not need to sign in, you just need to show your screen.
Sigurd, du er her faktisk.
Ja. Beklager. Ja. Så skal vi, velkommen til. Vi står I et veldig flott sent utenfor Torshavn, og så skal vi ha der. Sådan. Vi står I et veldig flott sent utenfor Torshavn, og så skal vi ha Godt. Vi går I gang. Det som Kan dere høre meg? Det går jo ut fra vi kan høre.
Sigurd, vi hører deg bra. Det et lite problem at vi hører alle andre på Færøyene like bra. Så vi må be om at de slår av lyden på sin storskjerm.
Flott, det skulle være greit nå. Det som statusrapport fra oss, 10 minutter, forklare hva vi har gjort de siste 3 år. En ting vi har jobbet mye med, det at få hvordan vi får speideren til å være litt lengre speidere, og hvordan vi får det til, eller får innbygge den nødvendige kvalitet I speiderarbeidet, så at de holder frem og får gleden I å være speidere. Og så har vi jobbet en del med finansiering, altså hvordan får vi finansiert I speiderarbeidet. Vi har haft en lille vekst en lille tilgang av speidere på Færøyene. Vi PT vi omkring 700 speidere. Det svarer noen til 1,5% av hele den færøyske befolkning. Vi hadde ønsket det var 20% av den færøyske befolkningen var speidere, men det ikke lykkes ennå. Vi har en lille vekst, og den vekst kan man sies veldig positiv. Det egentlig speidere som forlenger sin speiderkarriere. Vi har haft en utfordring, det at det for mange som kommer inn I speiderbevegelsen, blir som lukter litt til den, får litt fornemmelse av hva det og så ser vi ikke dem igjen. Så nå har det lykkes oss I en større omgang at få folk til å være speider, de største som hva skal man si, juniorspeider I første klasse, og så holder det frem liksom det som kaller oldevunger, og så til speidere, og så seniorer, og så videre. Så I den, hva skal man si, når man ser rent forsyningsmessigt av speidere I den andre enden til ledere, så ser det veldig greit ut. Men det en ting å gjøre, og det at det blir gjort kvalitetsspeiderarbeid ute I de forskjellige grupper som det Som vi nevnte, så har vi jobbet litt med finansiering, og hvordan vi finansierer de her speiderbevegelse, og da har vi lykkes oss egentlig at få en statslig founding som egentlig øket 300%. Ikke fordi summen så stor, men vi har fått en økt fra 250 000 opp mot 1 750 000 per år, som gjør det litt nemmere at man ikke hele tiden skal bruke sin tid på å finne penger til å holde aktiviteter, pluss at vi også har fått litt økonomi til å delta litt mer I internasjonale arrangementer. Angående covid, så har Færøyene vært veldig, hva skal man si, sparet for covid. Man gikk veldig tidlig ut og hadde lagt en streng strategi på och ha lite kontroll på vad ska man säga de inreisande och alla bekant så Färöarna en ö. Och hvis man någon sted i världen ska kunna ha kontroll på covid så bör det vara på Färöarna. Så det här är en god kontroll på inkommande folk och folk som är kommit in i landet där folk är satt i karantän. Och det sista utmelding var att i augusti månad i år där en hel den färöiska befolkningen covid-vaccinerad så. Angående speiderarbeidet så har det inte påverkat speiderarbeidet så mycket. Men då så att det var en period på cirka 2 månader som vi låg lite stilla igen. Men ellers har vi lyckats oss att genomföra det är inte de stora lejre men de aktiviteter man har haft ute i grupperna det lyckas oss och det är som ett typ som ett dansmaterial och också material som man själv har utvecklat och så vidare. Det eneste här som vi har märkt det är vi blir nödt till att avlysa våra vad ska man säga 2 årliga konferenser som vi har och den sista blir avlyst och nu har vi en så här inför den närmaste framtid. Det är ett annat fokusområde som vi snackar lite om det här med att få spejder till att förlänga sin spejderkarriär och det gör också att vi kan driva lite spejderarbete i lite längre perioder och alla bekant så är Färöarna inte känt för ha sol och sommar det kom på vad ska man säga turistbroschyrer att solen skinner alltid på Färöarna och till att förlänga den spejder aktivt man kan driva spejderarbete så där har man varit väldigt flink runt omkring att bygga små hytter ute i fjällen. Det vill säga att aktiviteten ute i naturen inte bunden alltid upplever i det men omkring ett hus en hytte som man kan driva sitt spejderarbete från och det vill säga dagsturer och det vill säga weekender och så vidare. Utanför Torshavn har vi byggt gick man så igång med att genbygga ett så kallat torvhus. På Färöarna har man inte träer som i de andra skandinaviska länderna och där har man i gamla dagar där man hade inte tillgång till olja så skulle man där ha någon bränsle där skar man torv och torvet skar man så ut i fjället och det blev så törskat ut i fjället och man hade så någon hus som man gömde det torv i och det var så det som man kallar en kräk. Omkring ett sådant hus har man så byggt en vad ska man säga en sån fjällstol eller en sån fjällhytte som kan sådan under uppförelsen och det som är väldigt intressant är att det är egentligen en gammal spejder som startade det här jobb som heter Heine Hansen och han är död men det var sån ett gott projekt att man mente att det skulle man liksom ta upp. Och vi är väldigt privilegierade att vi har väldigt god tillgång till att få helikopter till att flyga utstyr ut i fjällen. Så den hytten blev också byggt ut och ännu en gång så var det vad ska man säga det färöiska helikopterväsen som var det räddningstjänsten flöj en del av det material ut i fjällen. Heina så är ett av dem. Ute i Skuadalen där spejderna i Klaksvik har haft oss har också varit ett gammalt hus och det har man så liksom tagit ner och så är man så har man varit i gång med att bygga ett nytt hus och sådan ser det ut idag. Ett fantastiskt sted som igen är med till att öka vad ska man säga tillgången till spejder och kvaliteten av det spejderarbete man gör och man kan göra det i en lite längre tid och man kan faktiskt göra färg spejder i fjällen hela året. Där vi utanför Torshavn har också gjort ett som vad ska man säga ett annat hus som ligger lite utanför Torshavn. Det är så man kan istället för att driva sitt spejderarbete inne i byn så kan man göra det lite utanför byn med att ta en cykel eller en lokalbuss. Och där är både vad ska man säga tillgång till natur och vatten och bäckar och så vidare. Och av de stora arrangemangen som vi har, dem har vi inte så många av, men vi är väldigt spänt på att avhålla Nordisk Adventure Race i 22. Så det ser vi ganske vi veldig spent på at få I gang. Så det var liksom en veldig hurtig gjennomgang fra oss her på Færøyene. Ja.
Tusen takk, Færøyene.
Ja.
Det var...
Og god konferanse videre.
Takk for det, og I like måte. Thank you, Faroe Islands. Thank you, that was very interesting. We'll move on further out into the Atlantic. Next up is Iceland, and that will be Marta and Thorey presenting. And Faroe Islands, please mute yourself. Elsa, Sigurd, please mute yourself.
Hi. Good to see you all. Thank you for a lovely presentation. Always great to find out what is happening around us. Here we have some news from Iceland. And first we will start with the vision we have we made it the last year, and everyone who wanted to be involved in making the vision were allowed. So together we had a lot of people who put their opinions on what is going to happen the next 5 years. And we made a name competition for the name of the vision. And what was almost a winner was Steppi, which is just like a Stefan, nickname for Stefan. But what actually won was this Fyrirmynd til framtíðar, which means like role models into the future. We were going to go for skills for life in Icelandic because we are really into that slogan from our friends in England and the UK, but apparently someone had a copyright of skills for life in Icelandic. Okay, so let's look at Stefan, Steppi. So we have here what we are hoping, or well, what we are doing. We are going back to the roots of scouting. We are inviting all kids to have an adventurous platform and personal challenges to learn to have a feeling and responsibility for their community and gain skills for lives. And it goes into 3 categories. One is folk people, that we are inviting volunteers and staff members for a healthy and constructive working environment. Framsýni, we are looking ahead in the future, and we are working according to the time and usually 1 step ahead. And skills, Ferni, that with a good quality program and training, the scouts will offer participants an opportunity to make their skills, learn skills for life with the voice of the young people as a guideline. And we added into this a result from a youth group or youth forum, where they put all the SDGs in like a Icelandic or like a scout meaningful ways. So like health, the goal number 3, healthy, is out and playing outdoors. So they just like write all these things that are relevant to scouting and how we can just find out how we can make the goals a reality. And yeah, this is a nice motivation for young scouts and old scouts. And here we have all the goals, and it's probably, there's nothing like new here. Well, actually, there is one interesting here that 80% of our scout leaders agree to the statement that the stereotype of scouting in the public does not stop us from growing the movement. But currently, like in this process, all of them were always like, oh, it's the stereotype, oh, that is what is stopping us, so we are going to put a lot of effort in that in many aspects. And then the big thing is, well, skills, the people, and looking into the future. And we hope to work this in some cooperation with our friends in the Nordic countries, because we are probably all dealing with many similar things, and we are excited to learn from each other in the workshop in the next days. And now Thore is going to tell us. Thore is our IC for WOSM.
Hello. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me, or else people just tell me. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Skátasumarið 2021, which was supposed to be our national jamboree, but because due to COVID, we couldn't have it, but we still decided to do something this year with the Scouts. So instead of having a jamboree, one big Scout camp, we decided to split them into 3 small camps, where we have split the whole Icelandic Scout Association into 3 groups that are going to go to the same camp, but in 3 different dates. The camp will be scheduled in July, and each camp will be about 5 days roughly. To make this camp special as possible, of course, we have a theme, and we picked the theme Magic, which is quite fun and playful. You can use it in a lot of different kinds of varieties, but we're putting the emphasis on like the sustainable development goals, Free BME, and something called Jarðgerðarfélagið, which is a group that's going to teach us how to do bokashi composting, and they're going to teach us more about like the circle of nature. Also how to make our camps more sustainable, of course. So this is a quite nice cooperation we have with them. That's our plan for the summer. I mean, for the past year, we have just had COVID, so we decided that it's time to do something like this with, of course, the restriction in mind. So if we go to the next, yes, and you can of course see more information at skautamót.is, or we can go to the next slide anyways, which we're still talking about future events. Landsmót Skautar 2024 will of course be held, but we decided recently to postpone it. Instead of having it in 2022, like all of our Nordic friends, we decided to have it in 2024. So, well, the date has not been decided, but it's mostly in end of July, hopefully. More information will be out soon. We just want you to save the whole year and bring all your friends. So I think that's mostly all of our information. We already talked about COVID last Sunday, and you can see your presentation on the NSK website. And then we're going to talk more about it in our workshops that you can please attend. All right, then that's from us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iceland. And that was a good thing in the end there. Attend all the workshops and learn more about what has been presented from the different countries. That was all the Nordic countries, but we also have exciting updates from WAGS and from WOSM, and we'll head to WAGS first. Heidi and Aline will be presenting from WAGS. Heidi, varsågod.
Tusen tack, Knut. So I will, just like Iceland ended there, I will start my presentation by saying that there will be later today at 3 Oslo time a workshop on updates from WAGS. So both me and Eline will be more in detail during that workshop, and we will be talking about the things we raise now, but also some other things. But just to now to have the opportunity of talking to you all together. So there are a couple of things I would like to raise, and first is really the pandemic, because obviously we have the pandemic, the time behind us, and I believe in many countries in the Europe and especially in the Nordic area, the vaccination vaccinations are rolling out quite nicely, and before the end of this year, we will be expecting the whole countries and all citizens to be vaccinated. We are soon over with the pandemic. We can soon forget about the sad time and the difficulties it brought to us. However, this is not at all the case globally. And when we are talking from a global perspective, and especially at the WAG's World Board, when you are looking at the whole world and situations in each and every MO, I think it's important also for us Nordics to understand that globally the situation will be continuing a long time, many months, if not many years ahead. WAGS has been since May last year, April last year, we have been conducting the so-called global engagement campaign. So we've been reaching out to each and every MO globally. First, we asked last year about this time, we asked them just how they were doing. But now the latest stage 3 engagement campaign was really to find out how the different MOs have been impacted by the pandemic, and it shows very alarming signs. There are many MOs, even some of them even fairly big and usually wealthy and well-off MOs who have been impacted heavily because of the pandemic. So it means that the MOs will be struggling many times ahead, and the WAGs, of course, will be struggling together with those. We will rise together, but in a way we will also go through this together going forward. But the pandemic has obviously given us incredible opportunities to rethink what we do and how we do. And one of them is the World Center's virtual programs. So sadly, we had to close down and pause the activities at the all World Centers. And when you have been reading news lately, you will understand that, for example, Sangam in India will be impacted some while further on. But we have opened the World Centers for virtual programs. So guides and scouts from all over the world can actually sign in for interesting activities at the World Centers. And I think this is really a nice opportunity, even for many patrols and individual guides and scouts and groups as well from our countries, Nordic countries, because it gives us an opportunity really to experience the World Center experience from home in a completely new way. And when we are looking forward, so we are looking all the way to 2032 together with our Compass 2032, which is the vision. So it's not the strategy, but it's the vision of where we will want to see ourselves in 2032. And the Compass, there was consultations, and I know many of you were participating in consultations. And at the moment, based on the feedback we received during those consultations, we are preparing the version 3 of the Compass, and it will be sent to the MOs later on this month for a written resolution process where you can vote for the approval of it. And also to look ahead, also the World Thinking Day, which obviously will be in February, but we have already fixed the themes for the 3 coming World Thinking Days, and we have decided that they will all touch climate change as a topic from different perspectives. So stay really tuned. There will be a lot of climate change action happening from WAG side in the future as well. And now I'll hand over to Elina to update you on Europe.
Thank you, Heidi, and good to see you all. Good morning, Nordic countries. Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that COVID is still affecting all of our work, and following from all the engagement reports with all the surveys that you have answered, we have thought a lot about how to respond to changing needs and adapting to different circumstances. And as you know, we're a bit different from most of your organizations. You have girls and boys as members, but we have organizations as members. So it means that our role in responding to pandemic is more about responding to organizational needs. And that's why we have used all the data that you gave us to work on capacity building and deliver, different support to different member organizations based on the challenges they face. Of course, there are some common things like recruitment and retention of volunteers or members. It could be, how to respond to changing government regulations, etc. So in part of the opportunities, we have taken this opportunity of a big disruption to roll out a lot of different webinars. I think we probably reached many more people and many more MOs just because we could go digital and do workshops in the evenings in weekdays rather than having to fly and spend the whole weekend. Sometimes it's good to just get those smaller inputs, and so that's why it's really good to know what you need so that we can tailor all these webinars and the different offerings to something that makes sense for you that you would wish to attend. Sustainability is a key theme. It's something that you have asked us to work on and something we have a dedicated volunteer pool to do. And we're so lucky that some of them are even here in this conference and will deliver an excellent workshop to you today, actually, I think at 5 o'clock Oslo time. We have to come out of this pandemic in a sustainable way, and I think you all have really good ideas. I heard from the country presentations that there are a lot of different common points that we can share and talk about. I think to wrap up, I'm looking forward to give a more in-depth update from us, from Global and from Europe at the dedicated session at 3. Where we can also take some questions and you can bring up topics that you like as well. And also there will be a dedicated session on World Conference, the big global issues coming up this summer. That will be, I think, at 4. So I hope to see many of you there. Also, please go to the sustainability workshop to see what you can learn from us and what you have to share with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Eline. We'll just go straight on to WOSUM, and that is Martin, Pia, and Julius, maybe in that order, maybe in a different order. Vær så god, WOSUM.
Thank you. Who do you want me to start, Pia?
Yep, that would be great.
Okay. Nice to see everyone here in the Nordic conference. I'm really happy that we managed to do this in this new creative way. And I will give a short update from the European Scout region on what we have been doing now during the past couple of years since the conference and also what will happen up until the next conference next summer. But first, if we take the next slide, please. Just to give you, previous one. Just to give you a brief overview of what we mean when we say the European Scout region. So same way as WAGs, we don't have individuals as members, we have countries, and the European region of WOSUM consists of 40 member countries. And in total, we cover approximately 2 million scouts around these 40 countries. We are operating from 2 offices in Geneva and Brussels. And the committee consists of 6 members, where I am one of them. And in addition to this, we have around 150 or so regional volunteers that helps us delivering the program and the wishes from the conference. That is our decision body. If we take the next slide. So next summer, we have our big event, the European Scout Conference, coming up, and we have already now started the work with developing a new regional scout plan. So as some of you know, we don't have strategy for scouting in Europe. We have a global strategy that we are, from a regional context, working with and trying to translate into needs for our region here in Europe, and that we do through the regional scout plan. That is our plan for what priorities we see for the next 3 years. So that is in the working, and we're also working hard to deliver on everything that we have in the current plan. And as you can imagine, we have had to adapt quite a lot in what we deliver and how we deliver it due to the pandemic. But the working groups are mostly up and running, and I think we are making good progress and being creative and also doing a lot of things in webinars and actually reaching far more people than we maybe would normally do with events and so on. So I think definitely there are good learnings for us as well in how we deliver program and content in the future from what we have been doing now during this past year. Next slide, please. So again, like as everyone, we have had some significant impact from COVID in how we do things. The good news is that we haven't had any major financial impact for the region, which is quite good news because that puts us in a better situation to support those NSOs that are actually struggling, which we see that a lot of NSOs in Europe are doing. I'm really happy from the presentations here, and I'm hearing a lot of good news and encouraging words from the Nordics, which I think is a good source of inspiration for other countries as well in how to manage and how to get through this. But we need to be aware that a lot of countries are really struggling with both membership and also operationally how to actually deliver a scouting program in these times. And that's one area where we try to support as much as we can to help them get through this and strengthening their governance and ability to deliver program in this new reality. We're also supporting with network opportunities and connecting NSOs that faces similar challenges so that we can learn from each other and try to, in creative ways, making sure that everyone feels that we are in this together and we want to come out on the other side stronger as an organization. We still have some events planned that we have not canceled. Some events we have found new formats to do, and some are still being planned for probably next year. And hopefully we will be able to have those events next year. I think the outlooks for Europe in terms of the ability to resume events, I wouldn't say it's great, but we are definitely going in the right direction. So we are still looking at hosting some events and hopefully be able to have some meetings later during the year or next year. But of course, we will see what happens. Another important thing that we are doing is working with European institutions and making sure that our member countries can benefit from various programs and grants that is available through the EU. And a really good news here is that in the budget from EU, they have significantly increased the available funds for youth program. And that's one area where we now are reaching out to our members, the NSOs in Europe, to see how we can help in facilitating their ability to apply for these grants, and in that way accessing this funding from EU that can be quite crucial in rebuilding a lot after the pandemic. So that's one area that we are currently working quite actively to see what we can do from our part. And in general, working with empowering NSOs in their fundraising and their grant making abilities, to make sure that more countries can benefit from these kinds of programs. But also we have a situation where parts of the region are able to benefit from these programs that are accessible through EU, and some countries are not. So we are also working with those countries outside of this structure to see what can we do for them, and what kind of support structure can we set up from our point of view for our events to make it more equal for everyone. So those are some things that are cooking. I don't think I will continue much longer, but I will be available in the deep dive session later today for those who are interested, if there are any questions or anything to me. And with that, I hand over to Julius.
Tack Martin, yeah, let's zoom out a bit. I think zooming out is what happens when you're about to overdose on Zoom meetings. So feel free to just stretch a little bit, have a little dance or something, and enjoy Pia Melin Mortensen's and my just a quick recap of what's happening in the World Scout Committee. And as was alluded to by our partners in WAGS and by Martin, of course, you'll be able to delve further into the politics of World Guiding and Scouting and our World Conferences, and the thematic stuff we're working on through our volunteers later during this weekend. Yeah, and I think the in-depth WASM update is at 5 p.m. today. And then we have a session on the World Scout Conference at 6 p.m. So we can switch slides and just start with looking at the big picture again. And most of you have probably heard of or are very familiar with, or might even have been part of creating Vision 2023 back in the day. And just to quickly recap, what Vision 2023 tells us is that Scouting, we want Scouting to be the world's leading educational youth movement. And that means enabling 100 million young people to be active citizens, creating positive change in their communities and in the world based on shared values. And the timeline for that is 2023. And where does that place us right now? Well, we're sort of in a weird position because we were supposed to have our World Scout Conference last year. Of course, that was postponed. So we're right now in a sort of middle year with governed by a one-year plan that has sort of filled the gap between triennial plans. So of course, the previous triennial plan ended in 2020. That one was voted on by the World Scout Conference in 2017. And to fill this gap, we've created a one-year plan to respond to the most urgent needs of National Scout organizations and lay the groundwork for our next triennial plan, which will be the last triennial plan before Vision 2023 is to be achieved, essentially. And Pia, how are we crafting that final triennial plan?
Yeah, thanks, Julius. I think that's one of the things that the World Scout Committee has been very occupied with, at least for some time now. So we're continuing throughout these different triennial plans in our Flow with the Vision with our same 6 strategic priorities. So of course, these priorities will remain the same for the years to come, to kind of, you can say, wrap up our Vision 2023. Also, we actually started the work on our future triennial plan already before COVID really hits us. Actually, I think my last scouting event, global event, was the planning session for our triennial plan, where we already got a lot of good feedback from NSOs and from the regional colleagues. So we, of course, using that baseline still. So all of you who contributed to the postponed triennial plan, you can say, all of those inputs remains and will be seen in the draft resolution that we can discuss a little bit later today. But of course, things has changed with the pandemic. So we have updated a few items in there to kind of respond to that, to look a little bit more into what might be the needs of NSOs now that we didn't cater for when creating the original one. And we have also learned quite a lot from the last year, where we have tried some more agile approaches in our delivery, working more with a project structure than just having units supporting us for a period of 3 years. So all of that has been taken into account in the coming triennial plan and in the delivery of that. Yeah. And when we are speaking about the conference and the triennial plan being a resolution at the conference, that's of course because we need to adopt it together when we meet virtually this summer. So another thing that we are very occupied with right now is of course preparing the World Scout Conference and the Youth Forum. You have probably already seen a lot of the information and the bulletins have been coming out through Scout Pack recently. What we have done in the committee has of course been to assess what's the most viable way of doing that. And it's no secret that we've now ended up with a virtual conference. In that process, we have of course been very much in dialogue with the Egyptian hosts that were supposed to host our conference, but also the bidders, Mexico and France, for the upcoming ones. So that's all been taken care of in that process. And now we have just closed our open call for volunteers, and we actually got more than 400 applications. So thank you also to all of the Nordic countries who were supported in with volunteers for supporting our delivery this summer. And that's going to be really, really great experience, hopefully. For the conference and the Youth Forum planning, we already have a platform selected for that. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that in the dedicated session for that. We also have an outline agenda, and as you see here in the corner, also the branding is more or less in place. So we got ourselves a little bit of a virtual identity for this event, which now really feels like it's taking shape. And from the World Scout Committee side, we have 7 resolutions on the table, which has also been officially announced and presented. So if you have any questions for any of those, again, join in on a session in the afternoon, or feel free to just reach out to either Julius or myself for any discussions on those.
So,
and some other impacts on the pandemic. I think I'll reach over to you for this one, Julius.
Sure, thanks, Pia. And I mean, obviously the viral elephant in the room is the pandemic. So I mean, just to touch on the way in which WASM has tried to cope, and I think needless to say, the pandemic has affected us all. But I think what we've tried to do is continue what we do best and what our main sort of core purpose is, and that is to support national scout organizations. And that's forced us to try to find new ways of understanding the diverse and quickly changing realities of national scout organizations through surveys, but also and more importantly perhaps through conversations with national scout organizations through a number of events, and just staying in touch as closely as we can by virtual means. We've also tried to identify new opportunities to position scouting as the leading educational youth movement in the pandemic and post-pandemic world. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in just a moment. And from the more administrative perspective, we've been operating with a number of plans. I mentioned the 1-year transitional plan. At the beginning of the pandemic, we worked on a 100-day emergency plan to sort of reshift our priorities. And as Pia mentioned, we've also tried to seize this opportunity to find new, innovative and agile ways of working to better adapt to the realities of remote working, and finding new ways of approaching long-term operational delivery in World Scouting, both in the World Scout Bureau and in our operational framework run by volunteers. Of course, all of this while continuing to exercise prudent financial management and keeping checks and balances, and trying to improve ways that we interface with our constituents, you, the National Scout organizations, and the surrounding world. We can click here. One of the ways we're able to support NSOs a little bit more than usual, perhaps, is through the Re-Energizing Scouting Fund that was recently launched, and you should all have, or ICs should have received a circular about this. So with the support from the World Scout Foundation, we're able to help NSOs recover from the pandemic financially. So out of the $2.8 million that is approved this year by the World Scout Foundation to WASM, 1 million of those is allocated to a special fund for National Scout organizations, so that they can apply for funding to promote membership recovery, retention, and growth in the pandemic and post-pandemic world. And in addition to the $1 million dedicated by the World Scout Foundation, we've also received additional support from the World Health Organization to support scouting at a national level, which has been really meaningful. And speaking of the World Health Organization, we've really used this opportunity to build stronger bonds with our partners around the world, not the least WAGs, of course, but also with public institutions, the World Health Organization, the UN Foundation, and all of the big 6 youth organizations. And we've done this through the Global Youth Mobilization for Generation Disrupted, which is a global campaign and emerging movement of formal and informal youth movements and organizations with the main objective of strengthening young people's participation in shaping the post-pandemic world and building back better, essentially. And part of this has been the Global Youth Summit a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure some of you participated. And another part of that is the funding mechanism for local scout groups and local youth-led groups outside of scouting. So we encourage you to look this up on the website and also push this to your scout units and spread to those who might benefit from it. What else have we been up to?
Yeah, so another consequence of having to work more virtually is actually that we have all over globally, regional and world level, we have had a lot of opportunities to connect on various topics. So actually in just the past 6 months, we have had 138 virtual engagements and meetings, everything from our centenary, World Scout Bureau centenary, Jota Joti Academy, and other events around the world. So just say that scouting definitely didn't stop, for sure. Actually, I think we have seen an increase in using the opportunity of meeting more virtual and try to connect and still keep our operations and engagements alive globally. And also, as Julius was mentioning, of course, that we know, and also from the presentation here today, some of you are struggling in some areas, and definitely that's something we see, not just other places in Europe, but globally. There is a lot of NSO struggling to get their foothold in this situation. And we do see quite a big increase in our virtual services on WASM Services platform, which is great. But I also just wanted to present to you here that it is an opportunity to use this. And actually, everybody who received a survey have got quite positive recommendations based on that service requests. So it's quite likely that they would actually recommend that service to other NSOs. So we just want to, again, encourage you to use more WASM Services platform. It doesn't have to be an in-person consultation. There are plenty of webinars, different program elements, other guidelines that you can just take off the shelf and use. So just a recommendation, and also for those of you who might not have seen it, it's open for everyone to access these different elements on the platform. So go have a look at it. And also on WASM services, actually, you will be able to find 2 quite important new resources that has been launched recently. And actually for both of these initiatives, you will find breakout sessions here during the conference. So again, for anybody who are working with program, I really want to highlight the DPS, the Guided Program to Scouting. That's replacing the Red Mac Pro, as some of you who've been involved with the program might have known and used over the years. So this is an entire new resource on either developing new scouting program or adjusting the program needs and relevance. So I heard from a lot of the different country presentations today that this is something you're working with. So again, join in on that session and get some insights. Also the Scoutship, which is our new adults in scouting framework. So similar, again, a few of the countries mentioned that there is special interest in this area. So again, an encouragement to go out for that breakout session and hear more about the new framework for adult volunteers in scouting. Yeah, and I think with that, we're gonna hand back to Norway.
Tusen takk, Martin, Julius og Pia. Thank you, Julius, Martin and Pia. This has been a very interesting session. Lots of feedback from everybody. We had some technical issues and I had to concentrate on that, so I'm looking forward to the rerun. Tusen takk alle sammen. Vi har fått mye spennende informasjon. Jeg har måttet gjøre litt andre ting, så jeg ser frem til reprisen av dette showet. Det finnes på YouTube på Norges Speiderforbund, tror jeg. Vi skal ha litt praktisk informasjon før vi tar lunsj og pause. Vi begynner med... Vent litt. Jeg skulle si en ting til Martin. One thing for Martin. I hope your brown cheese arrived well in the US and got through customs. That there was no trouble with that. And Julius told us to dance a little. And actually, there is a function in Gather, how you can dance. So just talk to the Norwegian delegation and try to learn to dance in Gather. But now, maybe some practical information about the workshops. Oda and Marte, can you help us?
Yeah, det kan vi. Yes, we can. Nå får dere en litt god og lang pause, hvor dere kan spise litt mat, og etter det så starter vi med workshops.
Yeah, now you'll get a long break of 2 hours where you can refresh and eat food, and then after that we start workshops.
All informasjon du trenger finner du på nsk21.scout.no.
All information you'll need you'll find on our webpage nsk21.scout.no.
Når dere skal inn I workshops, så må dere finne riktig rom dere skal på. Gå inn I workshop-delen og gå inn I riktig rom.
Yeah, when you are going to find your workshop in Gathertown, you just follow the sign that says workshops, and then you go into the room which your workshop is given in.
Inne I det grupperommet kommer det til å være en link. Trykk på X når du kommer inn I grupperommet, så får du en hvit skjerm med en link på. Trykk på den, og da blir du sendt videre til Google Meet og møterommet ditt.
In the different group rooms, which are named after things to put on your waffles, you will have a sign which says which workshop is given in the room, and you will also be able to press X, where you will be given a white page with a link to a Google Meet, which you can follow where the workshop will be given.
Google Meet-linkene kan du også finne på nettsiden vår.
The links to the Google Meets you will also be able to find on our webpage.
Og vi har også laget en ny knapp på nettsiden inne på workshops, hvor vi har forklart det vi har sagt akkurat nå.
And we have also made a new page on our webpage, which you will find what we've been saying right now.
Thank you. Then we will dance back to Gathertown.
Well, what can you say? Thank you, Oda. Thank you, Marte. So just a small reminder for me about the workshop session. Be patient. Try to be on time, both at the start and the end. And if it's really interesting, talk more to the person holding the workshop in Gather, or ask for a webinar maybe. Litt info om workshops fra meg også. Vær tålmodig. Det kan være litt tekniske trøbbel helt til å begynne med. Vær presis, både på start og slutt. Og hvis det er interessant, så kontakt den personen som holder webinaret i Gather, eller be om et webinar. Vi minner igjen om workshops, påmelding. Nå sender vi de som foreløpig er påmeldt til de som har workshops i dag, men det er fortsatt mulig for de som ikke har meldt seg på å signe opp for morgendagens workshops. We will now send the list of participants to the webinars today, but it's still possible to sign up for those of you who haven't already for the workshops tomorrow and Sunday. This evening is a free evening for the delegations, but I remind those interested that there is a FOSE reception at 7 o'clock Norwegian time. And if you have questions, check out our webpage or send us an email at nsk21@scout.no. Hvis noen har spørsmål, sjekk ut vår nettside og send eventuelt en mail til nsk21@scout.no. Og da tror jeg bare jeg takker herfra og sier god lunsj. Have a nice lunch and see you back a little bit before 3 in Gathertown. Bye.